And good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me know where you're tuning in from. If this is your first time, definitely comment. Let me know that it's your first time so I can say hello. Hi, Mama. Sorry, guys. Tuning in late. My last meeting ran over. And I'm just going to apologize in advance. You're going to hear some banging noises. I'm working from home. There's construction going on in our basement, and the construction just so happens to be under my office. So you're gonna be hearing some banging. Sorry. Hi, Arkansas in the building. First time here. My brother lives in Arkansas. Welcome. Good morning, Ancion. We are the queen. First timer. Good morning. First timer, real Jordan. Mike. Good morning. You're the real Mike Jordan. Good morning, Brandon. Big Bit, you say you have a friend that needs some information. Tell your friend to call the office. We'll be happy to help. Dallas, Shanzi, first timer, welcome. Let me just type. Let me type my phone number real quick, so I can pin it on Instagram. But if this is your first time tuning in, and you'd like to schedule a consultation, um, you can call 407 995 6567. So just give me a second to put this in here. I have a very hard time typing numbers and talking at the same time. And you can also send us a WhatsApp, and the WhatsApp is 404 333 8751. So you can just give me a second to pin that in here. All right, so it should be pinned now. Okay, so it's pinned now. If you're on on Facebook or YouTube, you should be able to see it scrolling through the ticker. If you're watching this video live after I've gone live, or sorry, I should say, if you're not watching it live, you should be able to find our phone number in our in the profile. So I want to finish my series, and I'm going to be quick on the remaining points on signs of abuse today, and then I'll take your questions. And stuff. If you're just tuning in, the last few days I've been talking about, VAWA and what are some types of abuse people experience or signs of abuse of what people deal with when they're trying to determine if they qualify for VAWA or not. For a lot of people, they automatically assume, the what's happening to them is not physical, that they don't qualify. But that's not really the case. There's so many types of ways in which people can be abused. So today we're going to cover, psychological and just technological abuse. And then once I finish, I'll be happy to answer any questions, with the time that we have left. Again, my name is Shidole, and I'm an immigration lawyer. I represent clients all over the U.S. and internationally with their immigration matters to the United States. Phone number again is 407 995 6567. You can also send a WhatsApp to 404 333 8751. Okay, so let's talk about psychological abuse. Psychological abuse is one of the bigger ones that you see happening a lot because, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the phrase that the tongue can sometimes be sharper than a knife, and these are things that, can affect someone's psyche and mental health. And sometimes those typically are more damaging than, just telling, slapping somebody or something like that. So one of the areas in which we see a lot of people abused psychologically is during conflicts, when one spouse is aggressive. So while they may not necessarily hit them, they hit other things to instill fear. They may punch holes on the wall, throw down TVs, smash things, bang, get up, especially if the person has more is much bigger than their spouse, whoever they find like come in their face, basically to put them in apprehension that they're going to do something to them or do something really critical as a way to bully them into submission of obedience or to whatever their own point is in the argument. Um, from a psychic standpoint, they use your immigration status as a weapon. And sorry, guys, I don't know what's going on in my throat today. I'm still kind of like in the residual post-COVID cough and cold and stuff like that. Sometimes, they will threaten you with your immigration status, threaten you to call ICE, threaten you to call the cops, threaten to revoke a petition if, let's say, they were filing a family-based petition for you. Again, as ways to basically control you or to get you to do whatever it is that they desire for you to do. A lot of times they'll hide your important documents and pretend that they have no knowledge of it. Sometimes we see clients who maybe they filed for them initially, and then when the client got like a work permit or a travel permit, they would basically hide it or even destroy it. Like we've seen some that would even rip up their passport, hold on to their birth certificates, marriage certificate, and things like that, just to make sure that they have no way to basically assert themselves or to get themselves out of that situation. Sometimes you have spouses that when they get into fights, they get so angry, they would threaten to commit suicide. They'll threaten to commit suicide, or they'll say, if I can't have you, no one can have you. So even though they're not physically touching you, they're basically telling you that, if you leave me, basically, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill myself. So you don't have to yield a weapon to make people feel very, very scared. I can't tell you how many times people call me and they're scared. They're like, I'm scared, to sleep. I haven't slept in days. And so for them hearing that, they say to me, oh, attorney, is it okay for me to leave this household? Is something gonna happen? As ICE could come get me. And when I tell them it's okay for you to leave that household, and you do qualify for VAWA, for a lot of them, this is the first time that they've slept. Like they've slept once they leave the house without fear. Some of them sleep with even like a knife or something under their bed, like to defend themselves. Again, because even though someone doesn't take action, when you keep threatening that, you don't know when the threat will become real, and then, they blame you for abuse. Like, so when they abuse you, they blame you for the abuse and say, it's your fault. It's because of you that I'm this way. It's because of you that I'm doing this. We as adults, in most of these cases, have to take ownership for what we add or contribute to a relationship. You cannot blame somebody for your own reaction or how you treat the person. So that person holds on to guilt or resentment or begins to think that they're the crazy one. I'm the one that causes my spouse to treat me so badly. I just can't get it right. I just can't get it good enough, or whatever it is. Or sometimes they'll threaten to withhold their children. That's one we see a lot. They will either threaten you that basically if you leave, you will never see your children again, especially when they share children together. Or they will threaten you that, let's say, if they were filing for you and your children, that they will not file for your children, they're going to withdraw your children. For most of us, we know that our children are probably the most precious things to us, and people are willing to submit, do anything in obedience to keep their children safe and okay. So they use that as a weapon. They control who you speak to. They control how you speak, or whatever. They harm family pets. If you have sometimes you see people, they will maltreat the dog or maltreat the cat when they know that the other spouse really loves that pet, just as a way to punish them. And for some people, their pets are like their children. And then they isolate you from your family, they isolate you from your friends, they ban you from ever speaking like your language. Like if you speak another language, they don't want you to speak that language. If you're on the phone, they want to make sure that they're seated next to you on the phone, and so you can hear them. And that's why now, like if you ever go to like doctors' offices and go use the restroom, especially I don't know about the men's doctor's office or like the bathrooms, but like in the women's bathrooms, they always write like here's a phone number to call if you're not safe, or you feel like your life is in danger, because they know that your spouse cannot follow you into the bathroom. That way you can call and escape. But because a lot of abusers and a lot of abusers know that, and that's why they also would hold them from getting any kind of medical help or medical assistance when they need it, because they don't want them to, uh, you know, be in a safe space so that they can talk about it. I think it was a few years ago when there was this video that went viral where I think they were, I don't know where they were, and maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. And they were like either in a bank or somewhere, and she literally wrote it on a paper. She wrote it on a paper and said, I'm in danger. I don't know how to escape. Please help me. And then that was how they were able to, basically have the cops come, and that's how that person escaped. And so, because a lot of abusers know that, they try to seclude you and keep you in a space where you can't basically seek help. And then that's just something, there's just so much on psychological that I'll never be able to get through all of it in one day. And then the technology, form of technology abuse and legal abuse of the legal system. A lot of that is, with your phones. Sometimes, immigrants may not be as sophisticated with technology. If, they're coming from a country where they didn't use that, often they will put trackers on your phone. They will demand all your passwords. They will log into your phones, your computer, your email to see what's going on, to check what's going on. They will threaten to expose or post nude pictures of you in social media. Sometimes they will go online and call you all kinds of names, on there, as a way to disgrace you. They will seize those things, or, if you guys get into a fight and let's say your other spouse pays for the bill. And this also happens with children who are being abused by their parents. They'll cut off the internet, so you have no access to the outside world. Um, or any way basically to get any kind of like recourse, and things of that nature. So those are so in this last series that we're talking about, those are some things that you want to think about when you're wondering, you know, is this happening to me? I know that the person might not be beating me, but I know that I feel really bad and I really feel abused, or that my spouse is extremely cruel. If you're kind of someone that's trying to figure out where you fall, watch the last three series. I think it was a 3-day series I did, and just think about, if any of those things are going on for you. And I'm happy to screen you and talk with you, just to see what you're eligible for. Again, my number is scrolling through the ticker. My phone number is 407-995-6567. And you can also send a WhatsApp 404-333-8751. I know some victims of abuse, your spouses monitor your phones. And some of our clients, we can't call them on the phone because of that. So usually they will have like another loved one or like another friend or relative or aunt, that we can communicate with them through, like maybe if their spouse is at work and they say they're going to their sister's house or something like that. Okay, so let me take some questions. Jay Mahita says, VAWA approval rate is just 25%. Is that true? I'm not really sure where you're getting your approval rate. We have a pretty good approval rate in our firm. I'll say our approval rate is probably like 90%. And most of the cases that didn't get approved, I can tell you exactly why they didn't get approved. And a lot of times, I can only speak for myself, I cannot speak for anybody else. In our firm, the reason why any client that we've ever accepted their case for VAWA, because we think they qualify and we make our legal argument, the reason why they have ever gotten denied is because they had a defective divorce that they could not fix from a previous marriage. But I can't speak about anybody else's rating. I don't know where you're getting your statistics, but I don't talk too much. I try not to brag too much, but I'm very proud of our firm, myself and the other attorneys that work here, and what we do for our clients who are victims of domestic violence. We really get in through the trenches with them, as they will tell you, and we have a very, very good success rate. And I'm grateful that we're able to do that and help people get out of those situations. All right, let me take some questions. Is it okay to do VAWA even when me and my abusive wife are staying together in one apartment but still getting threatened? Absolutely. There's so many people that live with their abusers that still are able to submit a VAWA applications. One of the beauty of VAWA is that it is a confidential application process. USCIS understands the risk, that a client is putting themselves in to be able to report and say, this is what's happening to me. And the risk that we as attorneys every day put ourselves in, submitting an application on behalf of someone who's with a dangerous spouse. So what happens is they don't send anything to your house. They usually want a safe address, and we are safe addresses for our clients. And typically, if you're living with your spouse, you get an email, they send it to our office. In our office, no matter how many times you've given us your address, every single time that we have a mail to send to you, we always still ask you, what address should we use this time? Because last week the address might have been okay, the following week the address might not be okay. So we never want to send mail blindly unless we know where it should be going. Okay, so even if you live there in the same house, you can certainly still put in that petition without their knowledge. How long does it take for USCIS to send the receipt letter in VAWA cases? A long time. There was a time it used to take like 4 to 6 weeks. Gone are those days. Now you're seeing like 2 to 4 months, which is absolutely ridiculous. But what can we do? Today, I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to answer just maybe 4 questions, and I truly have to jump off. Kai is saying, what is VAWA? Very good question. VAWA just stands for Violence Against Women's Act. It is a law that was enacted and from the to protect victims of domestic violence. And as it relates to immigration, basically, you're able to get a 10-year green card if you're eligible for VAWA based on extreme cruelty and abuse. This could be because you're either married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, and that person is extremely cruel and abusive. You are a child of a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, and you're under 21. You can also file for VAWA and get a 10-year green card. If you're over 21, but before you turn 25, you can show that part of the key reason why you didn't submit your application was because of the abuse you were experiencing. They will allow a late application in that case. And then the final category are for parents of U.S. citizen children who are over the age of 21. You can also be eligible for a 10-year green card if your child is abusive. So that's really what VAWA is. There are some other things, and maybe I will do that as my next series that will qualify you outside of just this abuse that I've talked about, i.e., we have to show cohabitation, we have to show good faith marriage, and all of those things, which we can get into in another life. But that's just it in a nutshell. One of the great things about VAWA is that after you get your 10-year green card, you can be eligible for citizenship after 3 years, whether or not you and your spouse divorce. You don't have to wait 5 years. One of the other good things about VAWA is that you don't need an financial affidavit of support. A typical marriage case, you need someone to sponsor you financially. With a VAWA case, you're exempt from that. Another great thing about VAWA is that, even though you might have entered the country with a visa and overstayed your time, or you might have entered the country by crossing the border or entering and nobody inspected you. If you're eligible for VAWA, those are things that U.S. will forgive and still give you a green card. So they're and this is just to mention a few. Again, these are all different topics that I'm happy to talk about and just break them into chunk sizes, like benefits of VAWA, some of the other requirements of VAWA, and and stuff like that. Okay, let's see. Jimmy says, God bless you. Thank you. My wife withdrew my application after I got my work permit. How can I go about things without her? So again, this is an example of what I'm talking about, abuse of the legal system, and I'm sure you heard this was one of the things that I mentioned. Happy to consult with you just to see if you can qualify for VAWA. 407-995-6567, just based on the fact that, and I've said this several times, when a spouse, I understand that people have conflicts in marriages, here and there, because that's life. But when a spouse makes detrimental decisions based on conflict that affect your life, because withdrawing your petition is affecting your life, I want to bet top dollar that there's some other stuff going on there that can lead to the level of abuse, because I consider that extremely cruel. I received my EAD extension letter for 2 years about 3 weeks ago, but I haven't received the EAD card. Can you tell why? I can't tell you why. I don't know why you've not received the card. It's possible they sent it and it went to the wrong address. You want to reach out to USCIS, let them know you didn't receive your card so that they can send you a new card. Okay? Okay. 2 more questions. Good morning. My husband filed for me and my daughter, but I got my work permit and social already, but I didn't get anything for my daughter. I'm sure it's still coming. Sometimes they don't come on the exact same day, but you should probably get it soon. So I wouldn't worry about that. Okay. I'm a DACA. I'm a DACA recipient, just divorced as of last month. My ex-partner filed for me and then withdrew the green card through marriage, trying to control me. But luckily, I renewed my DACA a few months before. Good for you. It's Raj Veers. However, call me. Let's see that if you qualify for VAWA, because, if you qualify for VAWA, then you can get your green card through that way, whether or not they withdrew that application. Okay? All right, let's see. Yes, you're asking, can I jump back on my DACA and start my VAWA process and keep my DACA? You can keep your DACA until a VAWA decision is made, yes. Kai's 1372 saying, why are you not answering our questions? I'm not really sure what question that you're asking, but like I've told you guys on here before, you're absolutely not entitled to me answering any question of yours. When you come on my live, I am out of the benevolence of my heart, taking time out of my schedule for free to educate you guys and answer questions that you haven't paid for a consultation. Questions come and go very quickly. I cannot get to every question. So when I can get to a question, or when I see a question, I can answer it. And as you saw, I was just educating you guys on the topic. So I need to finish the topic to answer questions. I mean, I think that I understand that, you guys have questions, but you also have to remember you're not entitled to me answering any question. Like, if you want me to answer your question, schedule a consultation, and you'll get your own personal time. Okay. Last question. In a situation where your name is not added to the bills on the house and the mortgage, in filing a marriage-based green card because you don't have a Social Security yet, will that be an issue? Not necessarily, as long as you can provide other things that show that you have a bona fide marriage. A lot of people don't have their names on the mortgages or bills on the house, but there are other things that you can use to support showing that you have a bona fide marriage. Again, that's also like another big topic that will take me a lot of time. I don't have time this morning to get to it, but there are many other things that you can use to show you have a bona fide marriage. But based on some of your questions, I'm going to just put together some topics that will talk about, that will be helpful to you guys. But otherwise, I hope you guys have an amazing weekend, a blessed weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great day.